The Z car out the front of ABC again for a well, the aged care minister, I presume, Anika who's appearing in person on Insiders this morning. I thought I'd pop around and see if I could have a chat. If I did see that the minister was in the studio when I tuned in this morning. I wasn't going to come around unless the minister was in the studio. I marvel at Labor and Greens politicians who bang on incessantly about climate change, and then in a matter of do as I say and not as I do, they swan about the country in fuel guzzling, CO2 emitting jets, and swan around in fuel guzzling, chauffeur driven Commonwealth limos, but tell all the rest of us to reduce our carbon footprints. I look forward to having a chance to speak with the Minister on the way out. Good morning, Minister. Bill Thompson for Outside Insiders. Welcome to Melbourne. Can I ask, are you travelling by fuel guzzling, CO2 emitting, chauffeur driven Commonwealth limo today? What about your carbon footprint? ALP is always lecturing us to reduce our carbon footprints. Why are you travelling by limo? There's a tram stop right over there, Minister. A tram stop. I would like to have asked the Minister whether there's going to be a Royal Commission into the approximately 750 Victorians who died mainly in aged care facilities back in 2020 following, in my opinion, as a pretty much a direct result of the failed hotel quarantine security fiasco, or measures that turned out to be a fiasco, planned and implemented, I believe, by Chairman Dan and his cabinet colleagues and senior bureaucrats, that apparently was not secure enough to prevent individuals from working hotel quarantine security, and then heading off to either them heading off to jobs in aged care facilities in Victoria, or perhaps contacts that they had been associated with working in aged care facilities. And my recollection is that approximately 750 people died in Victoria, mainly in aged care facilities, as a result. At the time, I was keeping tabs on statistics. Chairman Dan's Victoria accounted for approximately 90% of all Australian COVID deaths. That statistic has declined in the subsequent years, but the last time I checked the figures, Victoria still had the highest number of COVID fatalities in Australia, despite not having the highest state population in Australia. I would like to have called on the Minister to consider instituting a Royal Commission into how it was that so many Victorians died in aged care facilities in Victoria back in around 2020 and thereabouts, My recollection is that Chairman Dan and his crew instituted a version of an inquiry and my recollection is that it was a conga line of ALP suckholes who appeared in the inquiry saying that they couldn't remember who made decisions, who did this, who did that, that resulted in the implementation of the hotel quarantine security fiasco. And I believe I read a report that suggested that Chairman Dan refused to hand over his mobile phone for examination, so that inquiries could be made as to who he was in contact with at the time. I could be mistaken. But my personal opinion is that Chairman Dan is personally responsible, as well as relevant cabinet colleagues and senior bureaucrats, for the deaths of approximately 750 Victorians, largely in aged care facilities, back in 2020. And I wish there was some mechanism to hold him accountable, because it appears as though the populace of Victoria largely don't give a rat's about this. Bill Thompson for Outside Insiders. I do acknowledge that the Commonwealth Government oversees aged care across Australia, but it was Victoria that had the worst effects and deaths in relation to the initial stages of the COVID pandemic.